So I suppose you could say we were probably a pretty ordinary establishment family.
You have your normal day-to-day family things that happen, and he just came in and just started, you know, chatting away, laughing about it. He was really upbeat.
He was very much a family man. He was a hands-on dad, you know, fed the children, did the cooking.
He had this real interest in customising cars.
He loved Christmas, he loved
just the magic of Christmas.
And he loved buying things for the kids.
That's what we talked about on the Wednesday night before it happened.
He was really just a big daft
He was a
lad.
big kid himself.
He was a big kid.
We were really happy and looking forward to the future.
He was a doctor of chemistry and had been involved in a workers' co-op for 16 years, helped set it up, bringing fair trade produce into Britain.
We'd been talking a lot in the days and weeks before he died about him actually giving his day job up and progressing into the music industry full time.
He could have made an awful lot of money as a chemist.
And he was going to leave his work in the April. We were getting really happy and giddy about the fact that we were going into show business and follow our rock and roll dreams, so to speak.
He was quite happy with the wee bits and bobs that we had.
Stephen had been doing Pilates from the age of 5. He became a first dan, which is his first black belt, at the age of 9.
He was one of the youngest lads ever to get onto the national squad.
Well, he wanted to own his own gym, didn't he? He always said that he wanted to be a master of it himself, and that's why he worked so hard at it.
A couple of nights before he died, we was having a snowball fight. That was the last time I'd seen him, actually, on the Wednesday night.
The last time I saw my dad alive, I remember waving him off at the gate, and I can't remember the last word I said to him.
Craig was living with his partner and young daughter, Katie, who would have been 3 when her dad died.
My dad, he was so cool, and he had patience, and he'd help me with anything and show me how to do things.
He loved his job, he did it. He started stablejacking when he was 17.
He was just, you know, a run-of-the-mill man doing a run-of-the-mill job.
Samuel was 6 years old when he died. A month before he was killed, we just had our first daughter, Olivia. Life seemed pretty perfect, really.
He was happy with his life, but he wasn't happy with his work.
He was the happiest he'd ever been. He was engaged to be married.
And he was looking to join either the fire service or the police force at some time in the near future.
He had a great job, so we thought they had a new house, and the day that he was killed they had just organised a new puppy, so he was meant to be going home to see the new puppy.
Like most people his age, he was always sort of last minute, and so he was standing at the door watching for the bus while I made up his sandwiches, and his last words at the door to me was, "See you tonight, mate," and off he went.
I got this phone call, and it was from the manager of the paint shop at the garage, saying that Lewis had been involved in an accident and he was badly injured.
We received a phone call from our daughter-in-law to say that Mark was in hospital, there had been an explosion, and that we should come now because there was no hope.
And I said, "What happened?" And he said there was a fire, an explosion, and that Lewis had been burnt. And I went, "How bad?" And he went, "Really bad."
Roberts loaded the aerosols into the baling machine, and he was called away at that point to attend to something in the yard, and just almost immediately after that there was an explosion.
So I knew it was really bad.
Nobody seemed to sort of hear this explosion right away. Someone noticed smoke.
He had told me that he'd been taken to the Royal Sussex Hospital.
At that point, they could hear Mark screaming for help inside.
I've kept phoning the nurse in charge, and she kept saying to me, "Can't you get here? You need to be here." And I said, "I can't." I was in a wheelchair at the time, and I said, "I can't."
It was then discovered that the fire exit from the building was locked from the inside.
He was in the hours of being operated on to remove the burnt flesh, and they said that it was extremely serious. He had 50-50 chance.
The fire extinguishers, when the staff were running about in chaos trying to find things, fire extinguishers were empty.
They told us at the time he had 60% burns to his body. We later found out through a plastic surgeon he had 80% burns to his body.
And Mark actually walked from there into the ambulance and was taken to hospital.
They were standing there telling us, and he crashed, and we just rushed in, didn't we? And they just said there's nothing more we can do.
He suffered 90% burns. He said the only part of his body that wasn't burned were his feet, because he had industrial boots on.
He never regained consciousness. They kept him under all the time. They couldn't let him be conscious.
They had kept him on the life support machine really purely for us to get there and be able to say our goodbyes, more or less.
3 days later he died.
So we were shown into the room where Mark lay, and I can only say, burned beyond recognition. He was melted. That is just the word, melted. And then they switched off the life support system.
There's people dying every day at work. When you're self in the morning, you always expect to come home in the evening. You don't expect your child or your husband or your wife not to come home.
You're supposed to work to live, not, lose your life through it.
Some human life has gone, and it's all business as usual.
They were worthless to these employers.
When the police started investigating Lewis's death, we were told within 18-month period, 10 youngsters had been killed at work. And the policeman said, if that had been in another scenario, we would have been looking for a serial killer.